Good morning, this is the Paradise Unicorn Priestess bringing you day 277 of A Course in Miracles, the Yin translation, where we use female words. This would be October 4th if you're starting at the new year. Generosity. The term generosity has special meaning to the teacher of God. It is not the usual meaning of the word. In fact, it is a meaning that must be learned and learned very carefully. Like all the other attributes of God's teachers, this one rests ultimately on trust. For without trust, no one can be generous in the true sense. To the world, generosity means giving away, in the sense of giving up. To the teachers of God, it means giving away in order to keep. This has been emphasized throughout the text and the workbook. But it is perhaps more alien to the thinking of the world than many other ideas in our curriculum. Its greater strangeness lies merely in the obviousness of its reversal of the world's thinking, in the clearest way possible, and at the simplest of levels. The word means the exact opposite to the teachers of God and to the world. The teacher of God is generous out of self-interest. This does not refer, however, to the self of which the world speaks. The teacher of God does not want anything she cannot give away, because she realizes it would be valueless to her by definition. What would she want it for? She would only lose because of it. She could not gain. Therefore, she does not seek what only she could keep, because that is a guarantee of loss. She does not want to suffer. Why should she insure herself pain? But she does want to keep for herself all things that are of God, and therefore for her child, these are the things that belong to her. These she can give away in true generosity, protecting them forever for herself. Patience. Those who are certain of the outcome can afford to wait, and wait without anxiety. Patience is natural to the teacher of God. All she sees is certain outcome, at a time perhaps unknown to her as yet, but not in doubt. The time will be as right as is the answer, and this is true for everything that happens now or in the future. The past as well held no mistakes, nothing that did not serve to benefit the world as well as her to whom it seemed to happen. Perhaps it was not understood at the time. Even so, the teacher of God is willing to reconsider all her past decisions if they are causing pain to anyone. Patience is natural to those who trust, sure of the ultimate interpretation of all things in time. No outcome already seen or yet to come can cause them fear. All right, today once again we have two of the traits of the advanced teachers of God, generosity and patience. And once again, we have the description of them tied back directly to trust, which we see more and more how it is the foundation for all the other traits that spring from that fertile ground. It emphasizes how generosity in an advanced teacher of God is the reversal of the concept of generosity as is widely understood in the default dream illusion. In the dream illusion, there is established a consensus reality of lack. There are objects that have a specific location and a specific quantity that is fixed. It is not a thing that can be changed. You cannot take a bar of gold and bilocate it in two locations at the same time, or put it in a copy machine and make thousands out of one bar of gold. That's not how it works in the dream illusion, because that's the nature of the consensus reality that the many shards that share it have agreed upon. In the dream illusion, a bar of gold has great value associated with it. In reality, it has no value. It is nothingness. It is pixels in a simulation, meaningless pixels at that. I have mentioned before that the picture painted for us in the Course is that in the dream illusion, the most real thing of all is our thoughts. The supposed things are of far less reality than our thoughts are. So it makes sense to associate a concept like generosity with our thoughts, far more so than with things. Indeed, a thought is a thing that can be shared without any loss. How can we imagine loss in sharing a thought? Only perhaps if that thought causes pain when shared, or if it is dismissed or mocked, or in some way pushed against. A thought that is made of pure love would not receive any of those receptions. And when we are guided by the Holy Spirit, we are learning to be a voice for love. And in our way of being, and in the words and in the actions that we take in the dream illusion, we are seeking to do the will of love. To seek to correct our fellows here, our other selves around us, would be to attempt to teach wisdom. What if wisdom cannot be taught? What if only love can be taught? If we are all teachers, and if we are all students, and if we are all teaching one another, and the only thing we can teach is love, then that is the only thing worth seeking. And how can we teach love unless we understand one another? How can we understand one another unless we see one another's preferences and we have great respect for the sovereignty, the free will of our other selves? They say the golden rule is to do unto others as you would have done unto you. The platinum rule, perhaps, would be to do unto others as they would have done unto themselves. It doesn't quite do to imagine that another shares our preferences, and therefore, if we really like chocolate cake, then they must really like chocolate cake. No, we want to understand their preferences. Maybe they really like sushi. So would it not be better to give them sushi than chocolate cake? This is just a silly and frivolous example, because once again it is our thoughts that are of much greater value than anything that is found in the illusion. But in the meantime, we can also be aware that while our other selves do have preferences around things, we can be gentle and thoughtful around that, respectful around that, paying attention to our other selves and how they best receive love. There is a story in the New Testament that I am fond of. It's found in Acts. This is after the death of Jesus, when the disciples have gone on to share the message and do miracles. Peter is beseeched by a lame man for any money that he might have to offer. And Peter responds, "Gold and silver have I none, but what I have I give to thee," and then heals the man who was unable to walk. And now this man is able-bodied, has the full functioning of the physical form, and can do all the things that anybody else with a physical form can do, which I imagine would allow him to have some kind of livelihood and earn money, as would be customary in his time. I think this story is an interesting example of generosity amongst the advanced teachers of God. There's also the story where somebody doesn't have the money to pay the taxes. This was during Jesus' lifetime. And Jesus asks a particular fish be brought before him and pulls out of it the exact coinage needed to pay the taxes. This is just a demonstration of how the dream illusion is malleable and how the solutions to the problems can come in miraculous ways that were not perceived or even specifically asked for. And Jesus had also said to render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, after showing that a picture of Caesar is on the coin. These stories demonstrate the idea of not valuing the things that are valued in the world, and understanding that in the miracle, things are not so limited and solid and immovable. They are fluid. They are changeable, because the nature of illusion is changeable. It is nothingness. And coming from that place of nothingness where anything is possible, why would there be any value placed on a thing? Goodness, I would be remiss if I did not also include in New Testament stories about generosity the story of the loaves and the fishes. Who could forget? Thousands of hungry people. Jesus asks the followers to request from the people themselves if they had any food. Well, a tiny bit. There were 2 fishes and 5 loaves. Jesus instructed that this be broken into pieces and dispersed amongst the people to feed them. When this was done, Not only were the people fed to their satisfaction, but that which was gathered up that they didn't want because they were so satisfied filled 12 baskets, showing us that after this happened, there was more food that was not even wanted or needed than what began. What are we to learn from this in the matter of generosity? What are we to learn about the flexibility of the illusion, how it is nothing? It is shaped by our beliefs in limitation and lack, and it is shaped by our beliefs in abundance. When it says in today's passage on generosity that generosity is in the teacher of God's self-interest, that word self is capitalized. I try to put that in the sound of my voice, but you can only do so much with that. The Course capitalizes things that refer to reality. And in reality, there is only God. There's only one. There's only love. There's only one self. So when the teacher of God speaks of self-interest with a capital S, that means everyone's interests are being honored because everyone is part of the one self. And then the other trait mentioned today was patience. Someone who is patient, again, it points back to trust. Someone who is patient is at home in the present moment. There's nothing about the present moment that is causing anxiety or suffering or boredom or unease or numbness. The present moment is exquisite. It is being savored. It is being appreciated. And yes, there's complete trust of a beautiful outcome and an understanding that how long it takes is uncertain because it depends upon the free will of all the various shards of God. No shard of God can be compelled to go home. Each must choose of their own free will, allow themselves to be charmed and enticed by love. For love is charming and enticing. Love is the only treasure. It is the thing that the shards of God are starving for and do not see the feast around them. For it is in the giving that we receive. And so we are being invited to learn to give love, to communicate love. And in doing so, we will be able to perceive the feast that is here for us. And then after reviewing what is the Christ found in show notes, we go on to lesson 277. Let me not bind your child with laws I made. Your child is free, my mother. Let me not imagine I have bound her with the laws I made to rule the body. She is not subject to any laws I made, by which I try to make the body more secure. She is not changed by what is changeable. She is not slave to any laws of time. She is as you created her, because she knows no law except the law of love. Let us not worship idols, nor believe in any law idolatry would make to hide the freedom of the child of God. She is not bound except by her beliefs. Yet what she is far beyond her faith in slavery or freedom. She is free because she is her mother's child, and she cannot be bound unless God's truth can lie, and God can will that she deceive herself. That is our lesson for the day. Happy practicing.